TV, and today we're coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts.
That's right, Island Hoppers. Today we're going to show you all across Boston 27 things to do. There will be timestamps below so you can bounce around from location to location. I've been to Boston 4 times, so we have a pretty good idea of what there is to do. As you can see right here on this map, we've got North End, Financial District. They've got South Boston Waterfront, which is a waterfront area you can walk around. They have the West End along the Charles River. I don't know if you guys can see this up close here. You have Paul Revere Park. So you have the USS Constitution, which is a museum, and then the Wharf area right here. And those are the main areas that you're going to want to pay attention to. The North End, the Charles River, the Financial District, Beacon Hill, and the waterfront. If you look directly behind me, you can see the Massachusetts State House and the Gold Dome that gives it its signature look. Construction of the State House began in 1795 and was completed in 1798. It's known for the distinctive gold dome, which is covered in 23.5 karat gold leaf. The house is open to the public and visitors can take a guided tour and learn all about the history and architecture of the building. Now when you come to Boston, you're going to want to get some lobster from Maine. As you can see right here at the food truck. Lobster rolls, lobster nachos, lobster fries, lots of different lobster you can get out here in Boston. And because of the accent, they pronounce the R as if it's an H. That's why they call it lobster instead of lobster. So you got the tail and the claws. Look at that. That sauce is usually lemon and butter melted. And as you can see right here, they've got the New England oysters, Chesapeake oysters. So the East Coast has a whole different variety of oysters than you get on the West Coast of the United States. They're a little bit smaller actually over here. Other types of seafood are going to include shrimp cocktails and other varieties of shrimp, as well as clam chowder. Cod and tuna. You'll also find the historic Boston saltwater taffy at one of these delis here that serve the seafood. Here's a lobster roll. They've got calamari, which is fried. Good old fish and chips, which is typically fried fish with French fries. And then the Boston baked beans, very popular out here. Typically molasses. Plenty of street vendors selling street food along the way. And then they have dessert, delicious dessert like these cannolis.
So what I got here is a chocolate dip cannoli shell with vanilla custard and pistachio toppings.
I also got a to-go espresso. If you look right behind me, you can see Emmett's, #1 in Boston for Irish coffee. This here is off of Beacon Street. So here we are in front of the New England Aquarium. You can see you get the city pass here for $64, $120 worth of value. New England Aquarium, Museum of Science, Franklin Park Zoo, Boston Harbor Cruises Historic Cruise. If you come over here, you can see the pricing for the aquarium. Just the aquarium only, $32. Theater, $10. Whale Watch combo, $82. And they also have a membership program. So if you guys wanted more information on this, you can look up the aquarium experience, the New England Aquarium, neaq.org. Here at Long Wharf, you can get a boat that will take you out into Boston Harbor and tour you around. Several boats have already left just right out along harbor right here. Now, the Boston Harbor Islands tour is going to be a great way to see the Boston Harbor. It's rich in culture. They've got island hopping that you can do, which comprises of 34 different islands and peninsulas. They've got the Spectacle Island, which is one of the most popular destinations on the Boston Harbor tour. They've got George's Island, which is home to Fort Warren. They've got the Lighthouse Tour, as well as wildlife and nature you'll see along the way. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll see some whales, or who knows what's out there. Next up is Fenway Park, which opened in 1912. It's the oldest active Major League Baseball stadium in the country, famous for the Green Monster, which is a 37-foot tall wall out in left field. It's one of the highest among all of the MLB stadiums. But out here, you're going to get an incredible atmosphere. If you can go to a game, that's the best, or you can simply do a tour. Here we are at the Boston Tea Party Museum. Behind me, you can see they have a boat. Imitates what it was like to actually throw the tea into the Boston Harbor here. The Boston Tea Party Museum commemorates the day and time back in December 16, 1773, when the American colonials protested against the British taxation without representation by dumping the tea into the Boston Harbor here. And now you can visit the museum here where it all happened, getting a guided tour and going on one of these British tea ships. Here you'll find interesting displays, historical artifacts, and multimedia presentations about the Boston Tea Party in American history. Now in Boston, the Atlantic Wharf area here is actually one of the more modern centerpieces of development with modern high-rises. There are 31 different towers here. At one point in the 1800s, this whole channel right here was filled with commercial ships with molasses and a variety of different imports and exports coming in and out of Boston Harbor right here. In 1856, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts decided to fill in the Back Bay and construct a new neighborhood. So this was all filled in, once ocean water here. Now land with buildings on it, but the reason they did this was because of the low tide and the high tide that used to create problems for the area around Boston. So most of it is built on a landfill that was originally tidal marsh. Now we're moving on to Boston Common. This is one of the oldest parks in the United States, established in 1634. It covers about 50 acres, which is 20 hectares. Boston Common is also a popular destination with both locals and tourists, so if you get a chance, stop by here. This right here is a look at the Declaration of Independence. It was read here to the people of Boston about 10 to 15 days after it was written, July 4th, 1776. And while you're here, you can check out the George Washington statue. There's also several ponds around here where you'll see a variety of different flora and fauna, lots of different ducks. Really a nice place, especially in the springtime when all the flowers are blooming. As you can see here, very lush with all these flowers. And here's a look at that George Washington statue, the founding father, the general of the Revolutionary War. Next up, here we are at Newbury Street, which is located in the Back Bay of Boston. It's along the Boston Public Garden to Brookline Avenue. There's also the Commonwealth Park area. Really a popular place for people to go around to the hundreds of different shops and restaurants, making it a really popular destination for tourists and locals. They have high-end boutiques. The interesting thing about the Back Bay East here is it is on the other side of the Charles River. If you actually cross the Harvard Bridge, you'll end up in Massachusetts Institute of Technology on your way to Harvard University. So this is just on the other side of the Charles River from that. There isn't going to be many hotels in this area, but there are Airbnbs that you can check out. It's more of a residential, local feel, but it's a very popular place and certainly worth taking note of and visiting while here in Boston. Also, if you check the link description below, we did make a full Boston travel guide as well as several other travel guides around New England. The area that we're at now is called Faneuil Hall. Right behind me is the Quincy Market. Let's go in here and take a look at this market. The Faneuil Hall is a historic marketplace located here in downtown Boston. It has been a popular gathering place since its construction in 1742. Here you'll find the Quincy Market, which we'll be showing you, as well as the North Market. Here you'll find lots of different unique foods, some unique shopping for souvenirs. This has also got some history from the American Revolution because Samuel Adams gave a speech here. While walking around the Faneuil Hall, you'll see people playing music and just hanging out, enjoying the weather, especially in the summertime or the spring when the weather's the best, because you have to keep in mind, Boston is very cold 6 to 7 months out of the year. So a lot of what you're seeing right now, outdoor activities, can be done in the spring and early fall, as well as the summer, but not so much the winter. So I just wanted to point that out. Now the Quincy Market is an indoor-outdoor market. This is where they have a wide variety of food stalls. So if you're looking for interesting shopping or eateries, go inside the Quincy Market. This is probably a must. The food is actually considered fast food, but it's local specialties. So definitely got to check this place out. Just be warned, if you've got a sweet tooth, this place is going to be very interesting to you. You might end up eating a lot of sugar. All right, so in downtown Boston, they have this area called the North End. That's where we're gonna go. That's where Little Italy is. Most people associate the North End with Paul Revere's house because this is where the famous American revolutionary Paul Revere was headquartered. But Little Italy is really a place you want to hang out, especially along Hanover Street, the bustling thoroughfare. This is where they're going to have a variety of different Napolitan style pizza. You're also going to get various Italian culinary delights, freshly baked cannolis right here, tiramisu. So really got to check this place out if you're in town. I actually really enjoyed the nightlife, so if you're looking for a place to hang out at night, you've got to come down here because this is where most of that action's going to be. It's very bustling and lively. Like many other big cities in the United States, they have Chinatown. Here we are in Boston's Chinatown. As with many of the neighborhoods in Boston, this is historically relevant, so it's one of the oldest continuously populated Chinese communities in the United States. You're going to find unique cuisine here, Vietnamese, Taiwanese, Chinese. If you like that, definitely find it here. Dim sum. There's also many events and festivals that are held here, including the Lunar New Year celebration. Also, I want to take the time to thank all the channel members who've signed up as an island hopper. If you do sign up, that includes access to our travel masterclass. I will put a link to that in the description below. Some dim sum restaurant, noodle shops, all up and down here. Next up, we're going to do a duck tour along the Charles River. This is actually an amphibious vehicle, so it goes on land, drives around the streets and the neighborhoods in Boston, and then it actually takes a dive right here into the Charles River. Kind of unique. It is an old World War II vessel. The Charles River is actually what separates the downtown area from all the universities like Harvard, Brandeis, Boston University, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. But you could see all of that as you're going up and down the Charles River, which at the end of the day is the main waterway here that connects to the Boston Harbor. All right, we're here at Acorn Street. This is one of the most photographed streets in all of America. It is a small road, but it is reminiscent of a ride back to colonial Boston, so that's why it's really popular. As you can see by that cobblestone road there with the river rocks. The community neighborhood that we're standing in is actually called Beacon Hill. That's where Acorn Street is. Really a nice neighborhood to just walk around. Now let's talk about transportation and getting around. You can ride the Boston T. The Boston T is similar to an Amtrak. It does have a subway system also connected to it, but it really takes you around most of Metro Boston and even Massachusetts. Try to go to one of those railway stations and get a pass for riding the T. And here we are at the USS Constitution Museum. It is a frigate that's three-masted wooded hull. Also, the world's oldest ship that is still afloat, so that's very interesting. It was originally launched in 1797. The ship is known by the U.S. Navy as Old Ironsides. This is actually one of 6 frigates that were commissioned during the Naval Act of 1794. Now here we are at Freedom Trail. This is something you can do if you want to walk along the historical Revolutionary sites. If you look right behind me here, you can see the Omni Parker House. That's the oldest hotel in America, right there. We finally made it to Cheers. We're going to go inside. For those of you who are old enough to remember the show Cheers, this is actually the restaurant where most of it was filmed. Well, it's more of a pub, if anything, but you can go inside there and order some food. And here you can see we did. Speaking of pubs, pub hopping is definitely a thing to do in Boston. Here's a nice Irish pub called the Black Rose. You can get a Guinness beer here with fish and chips. Check it out. Summer Ale. One brewery that stands out while here is going to be the Samuel Adams brand, so be on the lookout for that one. And because of its history here in Boston, you can check out many of the churches that are here. This one is the Old North Church, but there's so many different classic churches you can go inside and just see the unique architecture from old colonial America. Here we are in Paul Revere Square. If you guys pan this way, follow me over here, you can see the Paul Revere House Museum. So Paul Revere, this is where he was hanging out. This is where he was living, in this area. And this is actually his house right here. Here we are at Bunker Hill Monument. This is an obelisk that's erected up on the top of Bunker Hill, commemorating the Battle of Bunker Hill between the Redcoats and the Patriots of the American Revolutionary War. It is 221 feet. It's a granite obelisk, and it was erected in 1825 and completed in 1843. You can actually walk to the top. It's a lot of stairs, just be warned before going up there. That's 294 steps to the top, actually, but once you do get to the top, you can see nice views overlooking the Freedom Trail. It is a bit crammed up there on the bird's nest. When you arrive on Amtrak, this one here called South Station is where you're going to pull up. Before that, there's one about 2 miles away called the Back Bay. This is South Station, though. It is important to know the general areas of Boston, including the several wharfs. Like this one here is the Union Wharf. I would also like to say, if you guys can get up north of here about an hour, you can go to Salem. That's going to be an interesting place to go, known for the Salem witch trials. But it's all that history, including these historical hotels that you have across Boston. A lot of the buildings here have been renovated over the years. If you guys ever watched that show, This Old House with Bob Villa, you guys remember they were always up there in New England area because the homes are so old. I would say that's what really makes Boston interesting to visitors, is the fact there is so much history here, including these historic hotels, but also if you go along the Freedom Trail to those historic cemeteries, as you can see here, and the people that are buried in those graves. Just some people who are buried here you can see: John Hancock, Samuel Adams, Robert Treat Paine, Peter Faneuil from Faneuil Hall, Paul Revere, John Williams, and the parents of Benjamin Franklin. This green-looking gravesite is actually Samuel Adams, one of the founding fathers, place where he was laid to rest. And as you continue to go around and explore the history of Boston, you can go to some of the other sites like Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. There's also going to be other historical relevant sites around Boston, like understanding the Quakers and Mary Dyer. Oh, look at what we have here. Larry Bird's shoes. Some Converse. And that's pretty much a wrap on Boston. Like I said, try to get out to Nantucket, Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard if you can, or even up towards Salem. Those are things you can also do in Boston, even if they're not necessarily in the Boston area. I like going down to Providence, Rhode Island. We have made videos about those in the past, so check the links below for any of our US tours, especially the New England area, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks to all the subscribers who also sign up as members too. See you on the next one.